If you're under the age of 18, do not try to add me. I will not respond to you. If you claim to be under 18, I will not speak to you. Look up the technical term. I would be considered a which, by all technical terms, is not a lie. By all technical terms, which is not a crime, it's not illegal.
The last time we talked about Chance Wilkins, better known as Cyraxx, he was still living in his grandmother Sally's basement, spending nearly every waking moment online saying absurd things and stirring up drama. At 35 years old, you'd expect him to show some responsibility, maybe get a job or help his aging grandmother who struggles with even simple tasks around the house. But instead of improving, he's only gone further downhill. Lately, his viewers have been begging him during live streams to find a real job, and one person even offered him legitimate work. Cyraxx didn't just reject the offer, but also believes that having a regular job is a waste of time, which is laughable considering his situation.
So for me, a regular job is literally just a waste of time. So all in all, I appreciate the offer. I really do, man. And no offense to you at all whatsoever, but I'm not interested. Sorry, man. I appreciate what you're doing, but I got way too much going on to be worrying about a job.
One of the reasons Cyraxx claims regular jobs are a waste of time is because of his imaginary music career. If you're lucky enough to be new to Cyraxx's world, he's been insisting for over a decade that he possesses a level of talent in the world has never seen, and that his next single will make him a global superstar. Calling this a delusion would be an understatement, because Cyraxx not only lacks any real talent, but also the basic discipline or work ethic to back up his grand claims.
Different, don't compare high difference of my winning. Show to gun out I swing. Yeah, I got night vision.
Recently, Cyraxx even tried to exploit the death of another well-known lolcow, KingCobra JFS, by claiming they had collaborated and made music together. Although KingCobra was controversial and faced plenty of backlash online for some disturbing things he was accused of, he was still far better compared to Cyraxx and much less infamous. He even called out Cyraxx for his inappropriate interactions with minors. So in reality, KingCobra was never close to Cyraxx, and actually disliked him.
Now I heard from an anonymous source that Marty Music Videos is trying to turn Cyraxx against me, as well as continue to harass Cyraxx. Well, Cyraxx, he's a sicko, and outside of that, if the shit with Marty isn't true, then it was a misunderstanding, dude. But like I said, Cyraxx, sickos.
On August 21st, 2025, a news broke that KingCobra JFS was found dead in his home, and while Cobra was definitely a controversial figure, he still had a decent fan base that genuinely cared about him, which made his death go viral across social media. But of course, Cyraxx couldn't resist turning someone else's tragedy into his own pathetic grift. Desperate for attention, and maybe a few bucks, he tried to twist Cobra's death by claiming they were close friends who had even made music together. The truth, however, couldn't be further from that. The so-called collab was nothing more than Cyraxx screaming at the top of his lungs over a random track playing in the background. It was embarrassingly bad, and just another reminder of how low Cyraxx will go for attention.
This is the song that me and this man got a chance to collab on to do a cover of. Gave out and I'm wearing my racing, get alive.
Besides, Cyraxx has a long history of stealing from other people, and one of the most infamous examples is Eric Scrubolo. Cyraxx didn't just steal unreleased songs from him, but also took the name Cyraxx itself. It's clear that Eric was the one who originally signed Cyraxx out of pity for his situation, yet now Cyraxx goes around claiming he was the one who signed Eric. The level of audacity here is truly mind-blowing, even for Cyraxx.
And you know what hurts the worst out of all this shit? Is you, Eric Scrubolo. 14 years of being your best friend. And then you turn around and stab me in the back. After I gave you a fair chance when everyone said not to give you a chance. I sat right there and said, nah, that. I'm gonna take a chance on this dude. I'm gonna give this guy a shot. Why? Because I saw something in you that no one else did. I saw talent in you. I saw a good person.
As if things weren't embarrassing enough, Cyraxx also stole something else that he's been clinging to for about 13 years now, Shadowkai, a so-called anime series that he claims came from his own creative genius. According to Cyraxx, he started Shadowkai back in 2012 after sketching the idea while he was bored, but as usual, that turned out to be another lie. People later discovered that the original drawing he bragged about was actually copied from his ex-girlfriend Heather's old Facebook profile picture. It's honestly hilarious when you think about it. Over the years, Cyraxx has started countless projects, if you can even call them that, only to drop each one after about a week. But for some reason, Shadowkai is the one thing he keeps coming back to every now and then. Recently, he's been talking about it again in his videos, clearly because he's desperate to turn it into something profitable. The truth is, Cyraxx needs money badly. He's terrified of ending up homeless since Sally is getting old, and there's no one else who would ever take him in. In a video posted on September 14, 2025, Cyraxx proudly announced that his passionate anime series, Shadokai, would be released soon. He claimed it would be so groundbreaking that it would surpass Digimon, Power Rangers, and even Pokemon. To be fair, that sounds impressive until you remember it is Cyraxx we are talking about.
See, I'm over here actually doing shit, not bothering nobody. Working on artwork, working on music, working on film work. Matter of fact, I'm working on a whole ass brand new cartoon series that you ain't ever gonna know about, that's about to be bigger than Pokemon, bigger than Digimon, bigger than Yu-Gi-Oh!, bigger than Power Rangers, bro. I'm over here working on shit like that.
Besides Cyraxx's endless delusion, it is pretty hilarious that he is saying we are not going to know about his groundbreaking anime series, while at the same time talking about it, doing us a favor, I suppose. The basis for the project was a crude drawing of a ball-shaped creature surrounded by flames, which Cyraxx claims he had made out of boredom in 2012. From there on, Cyraxx made copious use of artificial intelligence programs to generate a more refined version of the drawing, as well as more creatures and promotional images.
This is something that I have been wanting to do since 2012 when I first created those characters, man. When I first drew those characters out, they were just nothing. They were just pieces of artwork that I didn't think would get anywhere. And like I said, at the time, I didn't have the resources to be able to launch the toy line. I had no resources, I had no way to make the anime possible. I didn't have the proper resources. But now that I have the proper resources, I can tell you this. Shit's about to pop off, boy.
And just like most of his failed so-called projects, this one wasn't free from troll interference either. The leading figure in the Cyraxx troll community, William Gloryhole, along with his friend John, stepped in a few days after Cyraxx announced the grand project Shadowkai and claimed that the entire series was actually their original creation, which made Cyraxx lose his mind, obviously, but then he would make a video on September 17th in a desperate attempt to prove William and John wrong. But this time, though, he came up with another ridiculous lie claiming that Shadowkai is picked by a very big international production company, and that he is going to hand them once he finished doing it. But in typical Cyraxx fashion, he refused to give the name of the company, mainly to avoid trolls from contacting him disguised as the company.
And like I said, I am not allowed to speak about what company it is running under for a very good reason. Because the company doesn't want anybody to know until it is released.
But either way, it is clear that no one is willing to even check this ridiculously stupid so-called anime series, which doesn't have any content to begin with. The worst part is that the person who contacted Cyraxx about this supposed big international company is none other than CIA Hole, another troll whom Cyraxx believes is on his side for some bizarre reason.
But I can honestly say this, thank you to my bro CIA Hole. I appreciate the out of you, man. I appreciate the living shit out of you, man. Because of you and your connections, we're doing big things, man. If it wasn't for you hooking me up and helping me out, this dream wouldn't be real.
And not only that, but the way Cyraxx was celebrating in this video looked almost identical to the legendary Bender Boys record deal celebration video, where he pulled off his grandma's jacket to flex a fake record deal signing made up by trolls.
Shout out to my motherfucking brothers over at Bender Boys Records. Shout out to the big homie CPN, Child's Play Ninja. I figured I'd just come in, kick it with y'all. Figured since I'm making it big time, may as well rock the swagger to go with it, boys. And you see the back of this jacket right here? Soon enough, the BBR patch is going right there, boys. Right on that motherfucking back. You wanna know why? Cause I rep BBR so death of me. And every label that I've rocked over the years. Killer Clown Sounds on this song. Bloodshot Records right here.
After this, Cyraxx received a fake letter created by trolls, claiming to be from Nintendo of America, stating that Shadowkai was an obvious Pokemon ripoff. In a desperate attempt to turn the situation in his favor, Cyraxx boasted that the letter gave him enough evidence to have William and John arrested for impersonating as a Nintendo employee. In reality, impersonating an employee of a company is only considered a crime if it is done with malicious intent, such as for fraud, scams, or financial gain. Cyraxx even read that part himself. Doing it as a prank, however, would almost certainly not hold up in any legal case.
Ooh, you guys are looking at big time charges now, boys. Because you guys gave away where you live. Right here on the letter. You guys gave away where you live. In Miami, pretending to be a Nintendo employee and sending fraudulent letters is likely to result in federal charges for mail fraud and state charges for an organized scheme to defraud. The penalties can range from misdemeanors to first-degree felonies, with potential prison sentences of up to 30 years, depending on the severity of the defense.
To make things even funnier, William and John created a website called Shadowkai.com just to bait Cyraxx into a rage and make content out of it. Cyraxx was furious about the site's creation and began ranting about how he had personal contact with Nintendo's president, Doug Bowser. He even went as far as threatening John and William, claiming he had Doug Bowser's personal phone number and would tell him to shut down the website himself. Cyraxx was completely convinced that Doug Bowser actually listened to him and took action, believing that the Shadowkai website was shut down because it supposedly copied his original work. Of course, that couldn't be further from the truth. It was actually a clever mockery by John, who posted on the site, "This website has been shut down by Nintendo pending an investigation." It's honestly hilarious that Cyraxx took this literally and even used it as supposed evidence of his real connection with Nintendo's president. When all this happened, Cyraxx had a full meltdown, but instead of doing anything useful or rational, he decided to pull out a weapon to intimidate John. Not in real life, but during a live stream they had together on Discord. Even though there's proof of what actually happened, Cyraxx lied and claimed that it was John who pulled a gun on him.
Stop stealing my shit, John. The minute I brought it up, your first action was one of your worst. You pulled out a Glock and put it at my face on a Discord call, and then pretended to call the police, saying like, "Oh, he's got a gun, he's got a gun." I did not have a gun. You did. Which innately allowed me to draw my weapon in self-defense of you.
Fortunately, there are receipts showing exactly what went down, including messages where Cyraxx acted unhinged and hurled multiple slurs at John. Ironically, Cyraxx has recently tried to intimidate trolls again by claiming to own a rifle, which is why he now proudly introduces himself as both the sole owner of the Shadokai brand and a rifle owner. It sounds absurdly lame, but that's Cyraxx for you. And this wasn't the first time Cyraxx claimed to own a gun. Back in one of Marty's streams in 2021, he also bragged about having a .22 custom bolt-action sniper in an attempt to intimidate Marty and Schmecklecat. Of course, anyone who knows firearms could tell he had no idea what he was talking about, since a .22 bolt-action rifle is hardly a sniper weapon by any means. It was just another one of his empty attempts to sound dangerous and tough.
If you're wondering what kind of rifle I got, and no, I'm not going to show it on stream because I know I'll get busted by YouTube for it, but I actually do have a .22 custom bolt-action sniper. So trust me, Marty, I'm the last motherfucker you want showing up at your doorstep. Same with you, Schmecklecat. I'm the last dude that you want to have showing up at your fucking door.
Despite all his tough talk and threats behind the screen, Cyraxx has a long history of cowardice whenever a troll decides to visit Akron and meet him in real life. One of the most infamous moments was when Music Biz Marty went to Akron, confronted Cyraxx, and made him announce Marty as his king.
Why? Why will you leave me alone, boy? Oh, yeah. Love you.
Get the out of here. Who's the king?
You are?
Then run away now. Shut
Fine. You win. You win. You win. Please let me go. I'm begging you. Please.
And also recently a random viewer who most probably is residential in Akron or nearby have had enough of Cyraxx's antics and decided to give a visit to Sally's house, where Cyraxx lives. But in classic Cyraxx fashion, he hid and didn't even bother to show up in front of the door. Instead, he sent Ed to respond to the person. Today I had enough of all the videos from the past week and went over to Mr. Wilkins' residence. Instead of coming to the door himself and owning up to his actions, he had his elderly relative come out to deal with it. He's nothing but a coward who can't face the consequences of his own actions. One of the reasons this person was so infuriated with Cyraxx that they ended up going to his house was because of his infamous reputation for being a PDF file. Recently, Cyraxx was caught with clear evidence showing him interacting with someone he believed to be an underage girl. On July 1st, 2025, Cyraxx announced on his Facebook page that he would block anyone under 18 who tried to add or message him. While this post alone seemed strange and random, he later uploaded another video talking about the same thing, which led many to speculate that he had once again been caught talking to a minor and was trying to clear his name before the truth came out. Fortunately for the world, no one believes a word this disgraceful goblin says.
But I'm gonna say this right now. Unless you're over the age of 18, do not fucking try to add me, because I know half y'all motherfuckers are grown as adults trying to trick me into and all this other shit, and it's not gonna fucking work.
But only 4 days later, Cyraxx uploaded a video where he told a very strange story about how he had been talking to a woman in her 20s who supposedly had an abusive ex-boyfriend. According to his own version of events, Cyraxx decided to confront the ex, pretending to be a hero, and then claimed that the man threatened to spread rumors that the girl was a minor to ruin his reputation, as if he even had one.
A few months ago, I met this girl that claimed to be in her 20s. Claimed that she was being abused by her boyfriend. So, I did what any normal human being would do, and I stepped in and to leave her the f alone. Now bear in mind, me and this girl have been talking for a few months. Asked her age right off rip. Said that she was 20-something years old.
Cyraxx said everything was fine because he had screenshots that proved the truth, but as usual he refused to show them, leaving everyone with nothing but his word.
He had claimed that she was underage. And I kept telling him, no she's not. No she's not. And he kept saying, yes she is, yes she is. And I told him, alright, show me the proof. Because I have proof that she told me she is of age. She told me she's 20-something years old. I have the screenshots to prove it. This man cannot show me any kind of verified proof.
It is obvious that he was trying to hide something, because no one in their right mind would accuse their own girlfriend of being underage just to get back at someone. The difference between a teenager and a woman in her 20s is clear to anyone, which means Cyraxx knew the girl was underage and still chose to talk to her. From what can be pieced together so far, it seems likely that Cyraxx fell for a sting operation where a troll pretended to be a teenager. He may have mistakenly believed that the decoy and the troll were two different people. Realizing it would not take long for the trolls to expose his latest behavior, he tried to get ahead of the situation by inventing the abusive boyfriend story to make himself look innocent. After the incident was covered by trolls and reaction channels, Cyraxx avoided taking responsibility and instead shifted the focus to how immoral catfishing is, painting himself as the victim.
Do y'all not realize that y'all can get in serious trouble for doing that shit? Do you not realize this? That you guys can get in serious trouble? Not only can the adult get in trouble, but the minor could get in worse trouble. And 9 times out of 10, when the minor does it, the adult gets off and the minor gets in trouble.
But even before that situation settled down, only a month later on August 21st, Cyraxx was exposed again in another sting on Discord. He was caught sending explicit pictures of himself to someone he believed was a 17-year-old girl. Even after being caught red-handed, Cyraxx ignored the real issue, which is his inappropriate behavior with a minor, and instead went on a rant about how wrong and terrible it is for people to catfish him. Sure, it is wrong that he keeps getting tricked into these kinds of messages, but that still doesn't come close to how disturbing it is for a grown man to be messaging a minor. No sane person would see those two things as equally bad.
This kind of shit has got to fucking stop, dude. This fucking bullshit of fucking with my fucking mind, doing all this fucking stupid shit for fucking views. I'm fucking sick of it. I'm tired of being lied to. I'm tired of being taken advantage of. I am sick and fucking tired of the fuckery. I am 34 years old, about to be 35 next month. I don't need this shit.
But unlike the other incidents where Cyraxx denied what he did, this time he admitted that he had sent inappropriate messages. However, he still refused to acknowledge any wrongdoing. Instead, Cyraxx argued that his actions were morally acceptable because the age of consent varies between 16 and 18 across different states in the United States, and that talking to a 17-year-old was perfectly fine in his view.
The age of consent in the USA varies by state to state, ranging from 16 to 18 years old, as there is no federal age of consent for all states. Now bear in mind, right here, 16 to 18, right? A person younger than the legal age of consent cannot give full consent to activity. Now, we're going to expose this person right here for what they fucking did to me. Now bear in mind, 16 to 18 is the legal age of consent. You are allowed to do shit at that motherfucking age.
This is probably one of the most common things you would hear any PDF person say after getting caught, but this claim has a big flaw in it. The age of consent is not the same as the legal age. In general, someone who meets the age of consent can legally be in a relationship with someone close to their age, usually within a 2 to 3 year difference depending on the state. For example, a 19-year-old would not face legal consequences for being with a 17-year-old because the age gap is considered reasonable. Unfortunately for Cyraxx, a 35-year-old man would not be treated the same way if caught engaging with a 17-year-old. Although Cyraxx initially admitted to what he did, his story quickly changed after the troll edited the screenshots and added mocking captions. Cyraxx then tried to use that as an excuse, claiming the troll originally spoke to him as if they were an adult and later altered the screenshots to make it look like they were a minor. It is genuinely unbelievable how gullible Cyraxx is to think anyone would actually fall for such an obvious lie.
Then why does it say this right there? And if y'all can't tell what that says, edited. Which means y'all motherfuckers edited this shit after y'all knew you were gonna get caught. And if y'all don't see it, here's the proof right here. Edited. Kinda strange, ain't it?
But yet again, in this same month of August, Cyraxx was successfully catfished by another troll. It is no secret that Cyraxx is gullible enough to believe almost anything people tell him, but I never thought he would fall for something this ridiculous, believing that a hot Russian model had fallen in love with him after seeing his beautiful picture on Facebook. Not this particular picture, though. Hopefully he has others with better lighting and angles. Anyway, Cyraxx was once again, for it feels like the 100th time, catfished by a troll on Facebook. The troll approached him under the name Yoda, pretending to be a gorgeous Russian model who had supposedly fallen for the masculine and handsome Cyraxx. Despite his friends trying to warn him and reason with him that this was obviously a troll, Cyraxx refused to listen. He chose to live in his fantasy, and even went as far as blocking those who tried to help him.
I just lost my best friend at 12 years. It made me think that my girlfriend was a liar and a backstabber, and she's not. And his name was Ethan. Ethan, I trusted you. And the fact that you could betray my trust like you did hurt.
But eventually, Cyraxx found out that this person was indeed a troll. You would think he would back off immediately, but surprisingly, he did not. Instead, he went live and started rambling about how she was the best person ever and that things between them were working out. It is honestly mind-boggling how deeply convinced Cyraxx can be by this kind of delusion, because you cannot make this stuff up if you tried.
You know, me and her worked things out. She's told me everything. I know what's going on. But to my friends that were apprehensive, you know, I really do hope that, you know, you guys would be accepting of her. Like, I know some of you guys are already, and I'm very appreciative of that. But there are others that, you know, that really are apprehensive. And I just really hope to God that you guys will, you know, give her that chance to, you know, to prove herself. Because she really wants to prove herself.
There's truly no limit to how low Cyraxx can go. This man seems completely incapable of self-awareness, and in a shocking turn of events, he even apologized to the very troll who catfished him. It is beyond crazy, and I honestly have no idea how this person managed to gaslight Cyraxx into doing this, but it is pure manipulation at its finest.
Like, we both came clean about literally everything. I found out why she did what she did. She understood why, you know, I was mad and this and that and the other. You know, and she apologized, and so did I, because I will admit, when I went off on her, I was a little bit heavy-handed. I will admit that, and she understood why.
As absurd as the entire situation already was, what made Cyraxx look even worse was the fact that the troll openly admitted they were not who they claimed to be. The supposed Russian model never existed, and Cyraxx didn't even know who he was talking to anymore. He had no clue whether it was a man or a woman, or maybe even a 70-year-old grandpa passing the time by trolling the infamous Goblin of Akron. Later that same day, Cyraxx uploaded another video on Facebook claiming that he knew everything about Yoda from the start. He said it was all part of his top-secret plan to gather information from her, so he could use it against her and other trolls.
I know you never really f***ing loved me. I know that. But guess what? I've been playing you since day one when you started messaging me. Since day one. I have been playing your ass for a f***ing fool. Why? Because I wanted information and I knew that you were in with that group. So what did I do? I devised a plan. When you asked me to be your boyfriend, I knew that was the biggest opportunity I had to gain information out of you.
If you followed Cyraxx's lore for any length of time, this probably sounds familiar. He always claims that every time he gets catfished, it was part of his master plan, but the nonsense didn't stop there. Cyraxx went on to say that he was actually helping Yoda by exposing Moon as a fake friend. That is absurd, because Moon was another catfish who had already fooled him into believing she was in love with him, and even convinced him to send explicit photos. Yet somehow Cyraxx still saw himself as the mastermind, despite being exposed, humiliated, and caught red-handed for his disturbing behavior. He insisted he was the winner because he had supposedly collected valuable information to use against the trolls. In reality, he got nothing from either Yoda or Moon, only another public embarrassment to add to his collection.
Even though you didn't deserve my f***ing help, you should be bowing down to me and f***ing thanking me, because even though you didn't deserve it, I did you a favor. And you don't want to know what that favor is? Exposing your little fake ass friend Moon as a false friend, as a fake friend.
As if things weren't disturbing enough already, Cyraxx managed to reach a new low once again. On October the 17th of this year, an old DeviantArt account belonging to him was discovered and posted on Kiwi Farms. The account contained several disturbing images of loli characters, once again revealing Cyraxx's twisted fantasies and showing just how deep his obsession runs. What made this discovery even worse for Cyraxx was that the account dated back 2018, long before Music Biz Marty or any of the other trolls ever entered his life. This completely destroyed his usual excuse that the trolls made it up to make him look bad, since no trolls were around when the account was created, or when those disturbing images were uploaded. But at this point, it doesn't really matter. Cyraxx will always find something new to blame, or he'll simply try to change the subject and go on another another rant about how he's the real victim being taken advantage of by the trolls. Cyraxx's disturbingly inappropriate fantasies weren't limited to online. Over the course of the years, Cyraxx has dated multiple women, and some of them were single moms, and his interaction with the kids isn't particularly pleasant. And one of the recent one he was dating was Kera, who was single before she met the love of her life, Cyraxx. Kera and Cyraxx's relationship began back in October 2024, and ever since they met, first Cyraxx had literally acted as if the two were married for decades. Kera is also a homeless drug addict who took advantage of Cyraxx so she could stop being homeless and mooch off of his grandma, Sally's pension money. And of course, Cyraxx never considered this. If anything, he was convinced that he loves Kera with all his heart, and so did she. Besides this, Kera also had a 5-year-old son, but fortunately she never brought him around Cyraxx, and just like he did when he dated other single moms in the past, Cyraxx once again was being creepy whenever he talks about Kera's son. And not just that, but despite only knowing both Kera and her son for a short period of time, Cyraxx claimed that he was there when the kid was born, and the kid had called him daddy the first time he said a word, which honestly is very disturbing.
I remember when her son Callum, who is, like I said, he's not really my son by birth, but I was there for him. I remember some of his first words being daddy, mommy, the typical stuff, and when he said daddy, he looked right at me. I was there for this boy since the day he was born to the day that he was 5 years old and when he left just a couple months ago.
But on February 21st, 2025, all this would fall apart after Kera decided to dodge Cyraxx after getting along with a fellow drug addict named Dominic, whom she met randomly in a convenience store. As you can imagine, Cyraxx didn't take it very well. He set out to hurt Kera until she responded to his messages or calls. Refusing to consider that Kera left him because he was an odious man-child, Cyraxx cooked up a ridiculous delusion, involving William Gloryhole colluding with Dominic to hook Kera back on methamphetamine to lure her away from him and into Dominic's arms. He would spend the following months ruminating and harassing Kera by repeatedly attempting to call her and calling her out in videos. But as if all this weren't deranged enough, now set on hurting Kera in any way he could after she refused to return his calls, he attempted to emotionally blackmail her by threatening to have her child taken away by Child Protective Services. He also tried on a few occasions to speak to the child directly in a feeble attempt to appear as the more responsible and worthy of the two, even wishing that the child would grow up to hate his mother.
To Tia and Ryan, and to Kera's mom, Bessie, first off, I want to apologize for what I said to you guys. And honestly, Tia, Kera's out of control. It looks like you were right. Kera is out of control. And quite frankly, Tia, I truly believe that at this point that Callum belongs with either his biological father, Noah, or Kera's aunt. Because Kera, you are out of control.
Despite all this being disturbing enough, on April 3rd, Dominic posted one of the most deranged things Cyraxx ever did. Cyraxx threatened to kill Kera's son and bomb his school if Kera didn't respond within 24 hours.
But on top of that, if you have heard of Chance Wilkins on YouTube and Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, which is X something now, like Chance motherfucking Wilkins, he has literally, threatened to kill my son Cal, which is over in the corner in the chair watching TV, and my lady Kera.
Cyraxx even went as far as contacting Kera's parents and trying to talk them into cooperating with his twisted revenge strategy to make Kera lose custody of her child. Of course, Kera's parents weren't interested in talking to him at all, but Cyraxx wasn't the one to understand privacy, so he continued his attempts to convince them. Eventually, fed up with him, Kera's parents threatened to call the cops, which finally made Cyraxx stop bothering them. On June 16th, it was revealed that Kera was arrested by the police for endangering her child's safety 2 months prior, and although the charges on her were in public, Cyraxx took advantage of this. At first, he tried to make a deal with the trolls, offering private information about Kera to them in return for a truce, which unfortunately wasn't successful for him. But then, in a desperate attempt to clear his name and shift the blame, as the community was already talking about how creepy Cyraxx's obsession toward Kera's son was, he started to say Kera has assaulted her son sexually. And although these accusations are pretty wild and no normal person wouldn't do unless they have concrete evidence to back it up, Cyraxx didn't even offer to give evidence, which is so ridiculous and deranged.
You tore your son away from somebody that actually cared about him, that wanted what was best for him, that wanted to see him grow up to do good shit. You know, honestly, Kera, I hope you get out while you're in prison, because quite frankly, you fucking deserve it. You sat there and abused a child. 5-year-old.
It's clear by now that Cyraxx has no intention of stopping his unhinged behavior unless something drastic happens in his life. One of the most anticipated turning points, of course, is his inevitable homeless arc. Until that day comes, it's safe to assume we'll keep seeing him wander around the internet, getting into even more deranged antics than before. So guys, that's all about Cyraxx for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. See you in the next one.